first of all, and also he's like only 29 years old. Like, there's still some good years in there left.
You're saying only 29?
Rebounds, okay, listen. I'm 2 days older than him, so there's only 29 years old. Okay?
Young.
Only
29.
I'm 28. We're young out here.
Only 29.
He's only 29. Okay.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. You're listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. The holiday season is coming up soon, and the number one thing your favorite Raptors podcaster wants is just a like, a review, a subscription, just anything to engage with the program, please. We appreciate you so much as we continue to go live throughout the holidays with the Raptors post-game shows. No Alex today. Joining me today instead are Sav and Keeks. Look at this. We got SN and TSN at the same table. They said it wasn't possible, but it actually does happen here. Hello and welcome, because we neutral. We're Switzerland of the Raptor game. Sav, of course, you know her, sideline reporter for Sportsnet, Raptors broadcast. And of course, Keeks, statistician who supplies Raptors broadcasts and other NBA teams around the NBA with all the favorite...
Lots of fun facts.
A lot of fun facts. Sometimes not so fun. Keeks is a returning guest. Sad we had you on the Raptor show all the time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I haven't been on Hello and Welcome, but I'm a long-time listener, first-time guest. This is great.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I've been pressed a little bit. But you know, we managed to get you on the show.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
She only came on because of me, so it's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, Keeks, I appreciate
Alex
you.
actually told me that he's not going to be on, so I was like, okay, come on.
Honestly, you guys have a lot to
We go back a long time.
here.
We go back a long time.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is what we're gonna do today. Keeks, you are very famous on Raptors socials, both Blue Sky and Twitter, for providing us fun facts. Sometimes they're not so fun, but that'll be up for us to judge.
Sometimes they're red flags.
Sometimes they're red flags. I mean, sometimes as often. But otherwise, then we're also going to talk a little bit about the trade deadline that's coming up soon. Obviously, a couple of trades have already been made. You know, Dennis Schroeder, another former Raptors show friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Getting moved to Golden State. I don't know if that does too much for either team, quite frankly. But we'll see in the second half. But Keeks, you have some fun stats for us. So set us off on some fun facts on the Raptor season today.
So they played 26 games so far. Obviously, they are 1-12 on the road and 6-7 at home. Do you think that's a real thing? Like, they're scoring 115 points at home.
Okay.
Which is 14th. Pretty average.
Yeah.
Right? Average. 109 points on the road.
Okay.
21st.
How much of this is just RJ, you know, infamously having those significant home road splits? Because I feel like, obviously on the road, like, young team, they've played a hard, road schedule. The one win they have is against New Orleans, which is, like, quite frankly, they were playing players that, you know. I mean, they're the most banged up team in the league.
They're the hospital
injury-ridden team in the league. Also, like, their injuries are not just coming to like anybody; they're coming to the main guys. Like, they're coming to Scotty, they're coming to IQ. And the other teammates are just trying to like figure it out around them. And so like outside of the fact that like, you know, it just coincidentally happened to be November was like, I think it's the busiest road schedule of the season, if I'm not mistaken. They had the longest road trip with the West Coast trip in November, so that certainly did not help when all these injuries were happening at the same time. So
if you remember, they had the hardest, I guess, using last season's strength of schedule, like the hardest schedules for the first 25 games. Yeah. Which
absolutely.
they have just gone through.
There's so many teams that were the first 25 games that were all in the playoffs. Yeah. And so that's the other thing. When you have a young team that's figuring each other out, now you got injuries, no longer BBQs there, no more.
No
like
BBQ.
You got Gradey kind of emerging, you got Ochai kind of emerging, and they found their stride like maybe like halfway through the month or like kind of beginning-ish of November, but like that takes time. So I don't know. I don't look too far into like the home road stuff.
Okay.
Myself.
Can we take something positive from the fact that they have played pretty competitively at home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think you can. I think with the crowd, obviously, and then even just with a young team, typically they all play better at home.
They're pretty competitive. I feel like I've seen more leads at Scotiabank than anything else. Obviously, they're like only one game under 500 at home, but like it's been a pretty good atmosphere, at least inside the arenas and stuff.
Yeah, so I think there's just like there's no place like home.
Okay,
and I think especially for a young team, and how many rookies do we have on this team exactly? Like
we're playing 3 right now.
3,
yeah, but we have 4 rookies in general. Yeah, not counting Ulrich, who's
And how many of those guys that like are actually playing too? Like we got 3 that are actually getting minutes, and they are just adjusting to what the NBA life even is.
Sure.
So they have no idea like the hard road schedule we have. Yeah. I mean, we talking about it as media members all the time. Like I told you, I flew in on Friday from Miami at 4 a.m.
Wow.
I got home.
Wow.
So
schedule's rough.
And then imagine going to go play a game on the road after you flew in that late.
Right.
So in that, so but at home you get your own bed, you this, that. And so I think when you're a veteran player, it doesn't impact you as much because you kind of have your routine. I know exactly where I'm going. But when you're a rookie, that definitely adds up.
Really interesting though. So the Raptors, 64% of their minutes go to guys 24 or younger, which is the second largest rate in the NBA.
Is OKC number one?
The Bulls are number one.
Wow.
The Bulls are number one. And the Bulls are hilariously the only team in the NBA that have a winning record on the road and a losing record at home.
Really? Okay.
They're 7-6 on the road, 4-9 at home, which is
interesting.
Quite opposite.
Hard to explain.
Okay.
It's hard to explain.
Can I
what was their schedule like? Who did they play before this, leading up to this? I need to know the teams they played.
Yeah, it got a little easier.
While you're looking this up, can I be honest with you guys? I have not watched the Chicago Bulls game this season. I've seen every other team multiple times. I've seen Portland Trailblazers like 3 times.
My brain.
You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of Jeremy Grant and Delano Banton and and Scoot Henderson.
Of course.
But
I have not
Chicago is not a team I've watched much. We've watched half a game maybe.
I think obviously they played tonight against the Raptors, but their last game, the funniest stat I read was the Bulls and the Hornets played. Bulls beat the Hornets. They combined to miss 75 threes.
Wow.
NBA's done.
The most in a regulation game in NBA history. Most missed threes.
You know what's? I think there's been a lot of threes discourse around the NBA this year, and I think my only thing is it might be a bit of that flirting versus harassment meme. When Golden State and Dallas, they shoot a bunch of threes. I'm like, oh, that's flirting. You know what I mean? Because they can actually make threes. I actually want to see Steph shoot a three. I want to see Luka shoot a three. I want to see Clay and Kyrie, et cetera, et cetera. It's harassment when it's the Charlotte Hornets and they're taking 53s. I'm like, nobody on the team. I mean, Brandon Miller is a good shooter, I guess, and
Can't stand by this take, yo.
I'm just saying. No. Sometimes it's, I don't know. If a team has a bunch of bad shooters.
Brandon Miller is fun.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's one guy, but that's only 10 threes out of the 50.
Yes.
So who's shooting another 40? Vasily Micic?
It's just the trend of the league is the trend of the game that apparently threes, people are living and dying by the three. And honestly, it's been like that since Steph, but I feel like there's even more emphasis now this year alone than ever before. I'm like, do we forget that post players exist and that there's a back you down game? I just think it's they want the quick, the dopamine hit of a quick three. Because you hit 2 or 3 of them, the whole game can change.
So the run starts so fast.
Runs are so fast.
That's why I would say a 20-point lead in the NBA is a 10-point lead in college. It's really nothing.
Yeah. No, there is
absolutely.
certainly that aspect. I think the other aspect too is just you can conserve your energy a lot more shooting a three versus driving to the hoop all the time. This is spoken as somebody who's an out of shape in pickup player. I only go to the 3-point line, I shoot that thing, and then I run back way less.
You are the worst to play with.
That's
because when you miss,
lead in the league
get your
three.
Rebounds.
You gotta get my rebound,
and I gotta run back on deep. No, man, no. I'll be like, you get your own rebound.
Don't forget, Sav.
I'm done.
You gotta create the three for me too, because I'm strictly a catch and shoot
so
player
now
too.
I gotta do all the work. I gotta put this on my back. I gotta create the three. I gotta be a floor spacer, and then I gotta kick it out to you just for you to miss. Air ball. I gotta somehow scoop the rim. No, it's out of bounds. Okay, gotta run back on defense, get the ball back, just to do the same thing back. Nah, man.
Well, this is why no one wants to play in the post anymore, because as you described, it's really hard. The other thing too that I don't like is when a player drives and they score, the teams are doing the quick inbound thing. Let's say RJ goes strong to the basket,
I've noticed
drives,
that too.
scores, falls over. Other team will just quick inbound, and then all of a sudden it's a 5-on-4 break. That doesn't feel completely fair. Because that doesn't really happen with the three unless the guy falls over. And even that, you still have to recover at less distance.
Yeah.
You have to run the whole length of the court if you drive and fall. Yeah. I don't like the quick inbounds. I know we had Kyle Lowry for a long time. He was probably the guy who did this the most. So I'm a little hypocritical. But
he also slowed it down on the other end too. Would take their time make the other team take their time to inbound a little bit.
Right, exactly, right? There's all that. There's a whole mini game around deflecting the ball, and is that a delay game? But my point is, if a guy drives to the basket, falls over, it does all the hard work to score at the rim, as you mentioned, which we all like to see.
Yeah.
The referee should hold the ball and at least let him you know what I mean? The referee should give the ball back to me, then give back the player to inbound, then start.
Kind of the traditional way.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's just too many inbounds, man. It's it's too quick. It feels unfair to drivers.
I want to know, if there's been ever a conversation within, amongst league owner, franchise, I guess GMs or coaches in general, if there's like a statistical advantage to the quicker inbound in terms of like exactly, like, yeah, I get it, like the fast break thing, but then when you're not setting up a complete offense, sometimes you're forcing a look, like the quality of looks versus like a quality look if you were to actually run through at least half a play, because this is the NBA. They can make something happen within a half a play. So, but yeah, when you're talking about like the rushed inbounds, and even like the fact that like there's a couple of late game situations, even with the Raptors, and I've seen this with other teams too, where they don't take a timeout, they just go straight through. They just like flow from defense, and they have a timeout, but they just flow straight through. And I'm like, what was the added benefit of, you know, not using a timeout in that situation and just getting a rushed shot, whether it works out or not? Like, wouldn't the better solution just be set something up and have like, you know, the screeners and have a wide open look, or at least like potential for fouling? Like, I don't know. Like I weigh the two. I would actually like to know.
I think with the Raptors, because they're so young and they're so hurt, a lot of times, especially in a development year, a lot of times it's probably better to kind of let them learn through it. If this was any other season, like if they were trying to win, I'd be like, no, you have to like take the timeout or run a set play. But they're usually without like multiple starters.
Yeah.
Where like usually RJ is the only guy that is the number one option, I guess, right? It's, I mean, obviously there's a little bit on either end, but sometimes I'm like, sometimes I'm like, no, I want RJ to learn how to like figure it out a little bit.
Yeah. And like,
or Gradey or Otay, whoever it ends up being.
There's definitely, like, to your point, like there's definitely something to be said about empowering your players to make the right decisions in the end of game situation. But on the other flip side of like, if we have such a young team, don't they need a little bit of guidance with that as well? But once again, like I flip it between both sides of like, you know, it would be great to see a set play, but then it's also like, I actually understand why. But I also want to know if there's statistical backing that is not like necessarily showing up on the stat sheet, that could be in some efficiency thing that I'm not seeing.
Okay, Keeks, give us your number 2 fun/not so fun.
Number 2
stat.
fun/not so fun. So this is related to their home and away splits. RJ Barrett, obviously, we know his home and away splits are not good. They're constantly talked about. Coming into today, 28 points on 39% from 3 at home.
Okay.
18.8, so 19 points on 29.9% from 3 on the road.
Okay, 9-point difference. This is why I asked earlier if like how much of the Raptors road away splits are just RJ not scoring as much on the road, because he's awesome at home.
I
foreshadowed this.
Don't think it's about his home and away, to be honest.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think it's a
speak.
I don't think it's a home and away difference. I think it's a where he ranks on the scouting report difference.
Okay.
A lot of his road games, including obviously last game against Miami, which was probably his worst game of the year, have come without Scotty. So 11, we'll just do his splits right now with and without Scotty.
Okay.
24 points on 59.2% true shooting with Scotty in 11 games with him. 23 points on 50% true shooting without him.
Okay. So
there
he's much
is
more
like
efficient.
some home and away, but I think most of his home away splits are noise. And it's more about
bars. Just preach.
It's more about like where he's at on the scouting report.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. I think it's more coincidence that like the Scotty got injured and they're also on the road and then okay, when he's home, like you know, he's having better games, but also Scotty was more like available because Scotty had a moment where like, you know, he was healthy and now he's back on the injury list again, but like he was healthy and that happens to be when RJ was playing well again, like because you know it's hard to shift your role when you constantly. And I've said this and I'll say it again. Like there's not a single player that's more impacted than RJ Barrett when any of his teammates go down. Like he has to take the load on for when any single one of his teammates go down. Either he's asked to score more, he's asked to be a facilitator or a playmaker versus a cutter and a slasher and getting to the rim, or be a bit more of a defensive presence. But like, you know, it's tough. He has, I personally think he has it one of the toughest on the team with on top of expectations, et cetera, et cetera. I did talk to him and he told me that like, you know, his superpower is adaptability. Okay. And I could see that because I was like sympathized. I was like, dude, like you've had to shoulder so much of the load like when Scotty's not there. and you have to facilitate to your teammates and also find your own shots. When Scotty's there, you're very great at like knowing how to get to the rim and do off-ball movement, which is a whole separate skill set.
All last year, that was his thing. He was so efficient last year because he was scoring off cuts and on like off screens and off-ball movements. Like it's not
to shift from like a cutter to basically a point guard. That's a crazy jump.
Can I ask you then, based on the fact that we've seen him do a lot of stuff, what do you think he does best? What's the best role for RJ?
100% playing off ball cutter.
Okay. Like the most efficient. So that's like probably like second or third option.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and like, that's no disrespect to his game at all. Like, I think he's a great option, period. But like, I just think that like, he's better when Scotty is there. The stats obviously prove that. But you even just visually, you could tell that there's rhythm, and you could even see like even when the press conferences after the games when Scotty's there, he's like, he's like joking around me and he's like, yeah, you guys like that, you guys like that dynamic, like he'd be coming in like with that energy, and like you could tell that it takes a little bit of the pressure off of him.
Sure, yeah.
And then he plays really well in that second option or just like cutter driver role.
I don't have stats to back this one up, but even just off of eye test, he's, I don't want to say good on defense on the defensive end with Scotty, but he's better. There's more effort because he's not spending all of his energy on the offensive end.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, his defensive play has not been
we talked about it enough
the
time
greatest,
on the show.
yeah.
It's fine. Honestly, I feel like we're almost nitpicking RJ like way more than we would in any other player. Because as you mentioned, he's had to do so much.
He's
also,
doing
his
so
highs
much.
this season have been like higher than almost anybody's on the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you know what I mean? Like look what he did in Boston, for example.
Yeah.
Which is also an example of like the fact that RJ can play well on the road. But
yeah.
Okay, all right. So RJ's, I mean, look, Scotty's gonna help everybody when he comes back. Hopefully, it's not gonna be long term though. It seems like it seems like he's close.
And you got to double check me on this, but there was a stat that was on the broadcast in the Miami game, I believe. It was like BBQ plus Gradey plus Jakob have only combined for 4 minutes playing together since they've been all together.
So the Raptors' projected starting lineup, the one that we all said was going to start, 4 minminutes.
Yeah,
4 minutes
in one game last year.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's why this whole 2024 has been a lost year for Toronto and for the Raptors. But
that's actually my next thing, obviously. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the Scotty Barns Instagram stories.
Yeah, sure. What's on Scotty's Instagram?
Break it down.
Well, last night he posted something about just the eye meetings with IQ and Bruce possibly coming back soon. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know IQ also posted something about.
Stop teasing us.
Hey, but so that's been the biggest story this year, though, right? Like how unavailable they've all been. Like we haven't seen all three of RJ, Scotty, and IQ together yet this year. Obviously, not since March 1st when Scotty got hurt. The five, obviously, we know that they've only played 4 minutes together, so that's what we think is going to be the starting lineup for the future, but we've only seen 4 full minutes, and obviously not with a developed Gradey, not with everybody at full strength.
Yeah, new and improved Gradey.
We've only seen 18 minutes with, even if you take Yak out of the picture, 18 minutes with Barnes, Quickly, Barrett, and Dick. Total, like not this year, but like since the trades.
Wow.
I think more than anything else, like I just need to see how that group works together. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And then we can build from there. It's so hard to just build with like names on paper.
Yeah.
You're like, well, theoretically, Gradey shooting, fits with this lineup, and IQ, can take some of the point guard duties off of like, RJ, but also Scotty can play point and IQ can space. And it's like, all these are good. I want to take it from like theoretical to like actual 1 month, 2 month, 3 months.
I want to stop playing small sample size theater and like,
exactly.
saying that they've only played 4 minutes. They're plus 12 in those 4 minutes, by the way.
What? They won those 4 minutes by 12? Damn, who they play?
Just saying.
Must play the Washington Wizards.
What was that game?
It was the Nets. It was the Nets.
It was the Nets? Oh, okay. This is what I'm saying. We need a bigger sample, but
at least it wasn't the Bulls.
I mean, if we can get them like even towards the end of the year, that's like the number one Christmas present Raptor fans want. It's just see their players healthy.
I think that's on the Christmas wish list. As you guys, I'm in the holiday season.
You are dressed like a gift.
I forgot to wear red today, guys.
I am the gift, actually. No, my presence on this podcast is the gift. No, I think that, I think as long as the Raptors get healthy, hopefully by the second half of the season, also because they played some of the toughest teams right away, it's pretty promising the second half. Like, they get, not to say a lighter schedule, because it's never light, it's the NBA, but like the teams that they play, like they didn't all make the playoffs. So I think you're going to get like,
Yeah.
Why?
No, they didn't all make the playoffs. No, you're right. You're right. No, you're good.
That's just the face and the sound she makes when she prepares another fun stat. Quote unquote fun stat.
This is the most basketball I've ever talked with you on a podcast before, I think, in my life.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah, it's not this. Yes. I mean, we
You've changed, man. You've changed. Maybe you've grown.
I don't want my feelings on the two shows to be misconstrued. So we're gonna throw it back to Keeks for fun stat number 4.
Okay, another sample.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
Just recently hit the big 4-0. What about you, bro?
A little more recently 4-0, but we are both in the 40 club.
Let me tell you, man. Being an adult really comes with its share of challenges.
Definitely. I think both you and I are homeowners, and I think we're both also dealing with mortgages in life.
Yeah, man. Mortgage rates, choosing the right terms, dealing with paperwork. It can be really overwhelming,
I still don't know how that works.
Well, listen. That's where our friends at Dominion Lending Centers come in, man. They make the whole process simple and stress-free. Whether you're renewing your mortgage, hunting for the best rates, or if you just need advice, they're here to help, bro.
You know what? I am looking for that advice, and I think that's why I'm going to visit www.dominionlending.ca.
Yeah, man. www.dominionlending.ca. Take the guesswork out of your mortgage and step into financial confidence with our friends at Dominion Lending by our side.
Okay. This one is going to be a little short. So we know the schedule part, right? They played one of the hardest ones, if even just using this year's records, the 5th hardest schedule up to this point, using this year's strength of schedule.
Okay.
They have the hardest schedule between now and the All-Star break.
But Keeks,
using this season's schedule.
I have seen at least 3 tweets from you being like, fun stat, quote unquote fun stat. Raptors are playing the hardest schedule until the All-Star break. Raptors are playing the hardest schedule until December.
Yes.
How are we always playing the hardest schedule? Like, who are we playing from March onward? Is it just Washington Wizards every night?
So my little theory, I don't know how accurate my theory is, but with the NBA and obviously the dumb ratings conversations, football season is on right now. All of the good teams are playing bad matchups to start for the most part.
Okay.
Right?
Because they want the good teams to play the good teams.
They want the good
when NFL's done.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why the Raptors are playing all the.
Wow.
Plus, when you're the worst team in the NBA, everybody else not the worst team. Sorry.
I mean,
not the worst team. But when you're 7-17, 7-19, most teams have a better record than you. So
you can't play yourself.
You can't play yourself.
Yeah.
I think the Raptors basketball is great personally. So
wow,
just want to.
They are not the worst team. I'm so sorry. They're not the worst team. I threw it back to last year.
Okay?
Not company man, sad.
So I look forward to a nightly night basis personally.
What do you guys think of the fact that the Raptors had one nationally televised game and then they got optioned out of that?
After that game against, they've.
They were like, "Nah, we're good. We've seen Raptors Knicks, man. Though you're moving at 7 p.m. on MSG Network. No more TNT or NBA TV for you."
I get it.
So we still have a hard schedule.
It's still up until this is up until All-Star break.
We see OKC again,
which means if everybody's back and healthy after, then it's going to be interesting in terms of like draft position and record, and obviously what's the right word to say it? If they play really well and all these guys look great, then you have to also consider, do all these guys look great against
worst teams?
The worst teams in the NBA.
It happens.
But they've looked competitive against the good teams so far.
That's the good part of the season, is that they have competed against like some of the top teams. Like they pushed Boston to overtime, for example. They pushed Denver to overtime,
Totally.
My go-to favorite stat is like 13. So half of their games have been decided by 7 points or less.
Okay.
13 of 26. They've held a lead or been within 7 points in the fourth in 15 of 18 losses.
Wow. Generational chokers.
It's fake comeback season, kind of. Or like...
No?
Choke
am I wrong?
Okay,
everybody who puts a jersey on is trying to win.
All right.
They're developing.
Point of view.
That's why,
that's a good thing.
Actually, this is entertaining for me. It's entertaining to see individual players make such strides and like at the same time go up against the odds of injuries.
Yeah.
Like I think that like we're seeing like the foundation of something really strong emerging in the future, and I think that future could be as soon as even next year.
Absolutely, yes.
Like
100%.
Like it's hard to measure though, because obviously with all the injuries and the impact, but you do see these players get better, and then even with the streak of basically losing all these close games, especially in November, like they are, if you really like, you pay attention, they're losing it in different ways.
Yeah, it's not the same thing every time.
I was talking to the players about this. I'm like, you guys there's always something different that comes up that you guys are learning from.
You guys keep it fresh with the losses. It's not the same loss every time.
Okay, well, hey, a loss is a loss. So you can't sugarcoat nothing.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But
no more
like,
victories?
it is like every single moment, because every single team's different also, like is a learning curve for the Raptors. And eventually when they've all seen everything that has been thrown out there in the NBA playbook, by like this time next year, it's probably going to be a different conversation.
No, I totally agree with him. Like, even jokes aside, like this is always a really good sign when a young team's really competitive. Yeah. I remember young OKC used to be super competitive.
Totally.
They still finish with like 20 plus wins so that they can get like a Chet Holmgren, for example. I think that's the ideal best case scenario for like a rebuild of any kind, especially here in Toronto. The other part too is just like for the younger guys, like for a newer team, the more time that you guys get to develop, like this is what we do in crunch time. We practice it a million times. More importantly, we've been burnt a million times because we keep making these mistakes. That's when you sort of build up that resilience to be able to close out in late game scenarios. So I agree. I like that. All right. I'm just making jokes about them losing. It's fine.
It's fine. I've never added more. I'm calling.
Like I said, I genuinely am entertained by this team. I genuinely, and I think it's actually like fun for me personally as a basketball fan to see the steps of growth
for sure
happen so fast with every individual player too.
You can't just be addicted to winning. And the pride that comes along with winning. Yeah. You have to like
also
love
winning
the process.
winning hides the smell. You could have a team that's not that great and you're still winning games. And it's like this is something actually like I learned best back in college. Sometimes we would win games and we would be making crucial errors on the court. But when you're making crucial errors but still winning games because you might be winning just off of pure talent or athleticism alone, when it comes to the real games that matter, those flaws will be exposed. And so that's why it's like, I feel like they have some close losses. They also have some pretty good wins. And I feel like every win is like legit. Like, it's like, okay, no, they really like, don't get me wrong, it's not pretty all the time. But
we never fluked into a win this
year. But no one's kidding themselves. Yeah. Everybody knows that this is a development year. Yes. So like, that's why I'm like, I think this is very entertaining personally.
Yeah.
If I could track how many garbage time minutes they've played, I'm sure it would be one of the lowest in the NBA.
Absolutely.
We've only really so home opener against Cleveland we got blown out. OKC we got blown out. I think maybe only one more game on the road. Maybe the Lakers game they kind of got blown out in the second half, but that's about it. You know, so all right. Spirits are going up. Well, I like this. All right, next fun stat. Okay, this wasn't actually not that fun to be honest. I'm so sorry. Not a quote unquote fun stat.
Okay, so they're fourth in the NBA in paint points. Obviously, we know that they score a lot of points in the paint. 56 points, to be specific, through the first 26 games.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they are shooting 54.5% on layups.
How's that possible?
I have no idea.
Is it
54? They're scoring that many points in the paint. 54.5% on layups. 61.5% at the rim.
Yeah.
Which is fourth worst in the NBA. 54% at the rim in the last 4 games.
So we have here, a CIS legend. We have a U Sports legend who is, I can personally attest, can certainly score around the basket as I cannot guard Sad. She has given me buckets personally. So
media game, you had to be there.
What are you seeing up close with the fact that the Raptors aren't converting too well at the basket? Rushing. Okay.
It's a symptom of a young team again. Everything goes back to a young team.
So you're there and then you get too eager.
Or you kind of just overshoot it, overscore, or I don't know. It's just, I think it's just being a little bit rushed if they were to take some composure. Because sometimes you even see like what looked like that should have been like an easy bucket. Well, if they took literally a half a second to set their feet, just a little bit longer, it could have just been like boom right there. Other times, like also they're up against like very developed, very established paint defenders. Like when you're seeing like Rudy Gobert, or you're seeing Nikola Jokic, and like all these guys like that, like because there was a stretch of games.
Just played Miami 3 times with Bay.
There was a stretch of games where they had amazing centers that were going up against like Anthony, AD, like
even Sabonis kind of hurt us.
Everybody, like you're going up against the league's best centers, and you're a young team that's like just trying to prove yourself. And so I think you're finishing around the rim. You know, do I think it's acceptable? Absolutely not. I'm not gonna there's no apology here.
At the rim.
Do better. But at the same time, like it's a symptom of a young
56 points in the paint, despite shooting
So they're getting the looks.
So there's like a real upside.
They're getting the looks.
Well, I think there's two things happening. I think number one, like Darko's actually implemented a really good system that allows his players to get to the rim, even above sort of what their talent would dictate. Because you look at Gradey, for example, he's not a guy who can really slash, but you find Gradey going to the basket all the time. That's a product of the system, especially with them playing through their centers, lifting the opposing center out of the paint, and then creating that space behind to cut into. That's been really good. The other thing too is just like we've had like a Jakob Poeltl season from Jakob. RJ's been going to the basket a lot. Although I gotta say RJ's percentages at the rim this season aren't as high as they were last year with the Raptors. But again, some of that's like the no call, some of that's adjusting to that. The guys who I really want to see improve their game of like just their strategy around the basket is like a Jonathan Mobo. Because
I can see that.
Early in the season, I was like, for an energy big, he loves to throw up the little floater, for example. If you notice, like, he goes for the floater a lot. And I actually asked him at practice one day, I'm like, you came up as a guard and then you hit this late growth spurt. But I see you sometimes play like a guard with the floater. And he's like, yeah, that was one of my go-to looks when I was a guard. But now he's 6'8" and he's playing in the NBA. That floater is not gonna fly like that, right? Yeah. It could be a counter for you at best.
Yeah.
But like these guys gotta sort of like better game plan going and finishing at the basket. And I think that you just gotta like learn. Like Jacoby, for example, is probably the best young guy for me at finishing because he knows how to throw an up fake, a head fake. Like he might finish reverse. He did an inside hand layup. Totally. All these things I can't do, but Sav has done to me. So.
I mean,
I like this as an area of growth, though. Because
on the point though of like just the fact that we're the Raptors are doing well in terms of like points in the paint and like
imagine how many touches, more points they could be scoring if they would hit them. Like that's a difference. Like, it's like that's once again that's conversion. That's like rushing. That's just like composure probably. But the fact that they're getting those looks is a great sign because when you play inside out, that space is the floor. And I've talked to Yak so many times about what his presence does to impact Gradey on his floor spacing. I've talked about Gradey impacting Yak on his floor spacing because that just means the paint's wide open. Yep. And that's a great strategy to win. But now it's just about, once again, it's about converting. And then also I think what I really like about this season is, so Jakob Poeltl's having a season and a half, but career highs across the board.
Facts, career high. Love that for him. First of all, and also he's like only 29 years old. Like, there's still some good years in there left.
Career highs in points, 29, rebounds,
okay, listen. I'm 2 days older than him, so there's only 29 years old. Okay?
Only 29.
I'm 28. We're young out here.
Only 29.
He's only 29. Okay. Anyway, so. I mean, the fact that they're running the offense through him as well, you see that a lot, like the entry pass in the high post, or sometimes the entry pass in the low post. So once in a while, you see that. Either way, like the dribble handoffs, actions, that's also attributing to all those paint touches because there's lots of rolling happening to the rim too.
Second in the NBA in paint touches.
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
RJ's great at slashing, but like the other guys aren't necessarily like great off. Like Scotty can get there, but like sometimes he doesn't always drive to the basket. Like he's got more of a varied game.
Yeah.
But like they still manufacture these looks simply by cutting and moving and passing, as you're mentioning. So that's always fun. Okay, all right. My mood is up, even though this was a quote unquote fun stat. Next one, Keeks, what you got for us?
Even along those lines, I guess, they're taking the second fewest and making the second fewest threes in the NBA.
Do you know what the word fun is?
I didn't call this one a fun fact. I'm just saying.
Making this hard.
It's a little connected,
Okay, so we don't take threes. We don't make threes.
You can't make a shot at the
maybe
rim.
I do miss Alex, actually. Alex, where are you at?
I was like, hey, man, I just bought some vintage finds.
What is it going to look like when everybody's back?
Okay, well, threes will go up. IQ coming back with that's been a huge factor here. Because when you look at, I know another quote unquote fun stat will be how many threes have your point guards made this season, and Raptors have to be dead last by a mile. Because every
define point guard on this team.
I just mean the shortest guy on the team, for example.
Yeah,
so like it's been playing Davion and Jamal, which they bring a lot on the defensive end, but the 3-point shooting is like very, very low from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they don't shoot.
No, we must be the last in the NBA in terms of threes from our point guards.
Yeah.
And I think IQ will certainly flip that because IQ obviously is a high volume 3-point shooter.
Well, exactly. They got IQ with the green light, Gradey with the green light, Scotty with the green light to shoot pretty much anything from 3 that's open. Also Ochai
obviously with more.
4. And then Gradey missed some games, Scotty missed a lot of games, IQ missed a lot of games. Problem solved.
Even with the combo of last year, at least with the Raptors, the combo of IQ, Bruce, Scotty, and Kelly. I'm going to put him in there too.
Yep.
He shoots some threes.
Oh yeah, Kelly's good.
They took 16 threes a game, which would take the Raptors, what are they taking? 33 threes a game? Yeah. Probably up to closer to like the 36, 37 mark.
Okay.
With everybody back.
I'm not too worried about. I mean, I know this has been a number that I've seen people track, and 3-pointers is like a huge focus of conversation around like basketball right now. But I think more than anything else, this is more of a personnel thing. When you replace IQ with defense first point guards that don't really shoot threes, you're gonna really reduce the amount of threes you take. This is accounting, I think. I'm okay with that.
But I'm not even like totally mad at like the fact that, okay, I know in a world where everyone's shooting threes, like it's going against the grain to not. But I would prefer them say like, we got like only 33 quality looks, and we didn't chuck up like 50 non-quality looks, because like as you said, that flirting versus harassment line. At the top, let's bring that one back.
We're flirting like right now. There's no harassment.
I'd rather flirt with intention, even though it might be like a 1-2 flirt, versus like taking what are we doing? Like what everything's a check. Like that's not good basketball.
I agree. I'm actually so happy the Raptors are not one of these like 53s
just chuck everything up. I agree.
We don't have the talent to play it, to be clear.
There's only one 53s a game team right now in the NBA.
Okay.
Celtics, that's it.
But how many 45
second
and
most
above?
Is 43.
Really?
And that's the Bulls.
That's a big jump.
Oh, that's the Bucks.
But Celtics
the Bulls.
Okay.
What's the Celtics percentage on their threes?
Oh, they're like
probably 40% plus. Yeah, I remember
they're taking 51 threes, shooting 37%.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And they're making an insane 19 threes a game.
Yo, they're the best team that no one wants to watch. Okay,
next in the finals.
They'll be in the finals with OKC. What's our next fun stat, Keeks? And how many more do we have?
We got one more.
Oh, last one.
Works, yeah.
Okay.
Gradey Dick.
Love him.
So obviously he missed, I think, 5 games with that calf contusion.
Mm-hmm.
His growth, he's averaging 9.5 more points this year than last year, which is amazing.
Okay.
His efficiency is a little bit in the tank, though, in the last 10.
Okay, hit us.
So 17 points on 32% from 3.
Okay.
In the last 10.
All right.
His shot hasn't been falling like at all for most of the season.
Sure.
At least not at the same rate as last year.
He's a high volume 3-point shooter. He certainly takes some difficult ones as well, but he's not necessarily a high percentage 3-point shooter yet.
No. Last year he shot 36% from 3.
Yeah, but he had a lot of corner looks, which is totally different than his looks this year.
He led the NBA in corner threes after he
right. He had the Ochai looks. Now he's got Gradey looks.
Now he's got Gradey looks.
He has a full green light now. And I think that's the thing when you give a player a full green light, it's like just because they have a full green light, sometimes they have to learn themselves how to use it. And it's like, it's about not necessarily chucking because you can chuck it. It's because chucking because you think that you have a really great look and you're in rhythm and you're on time. Like, because rhythm shooting is, let's be so for real right now. Like, a shot's going to go in if it's in rhythm. Like, okay, like if you have a good form, et cetera, all the technicalities, but mostly important, like it has to be in rhythm. Whether it's coming off the dribble, which is a lot harder, or whether it's coming off a screen, also hard shot. But if it's, like a spot up shooter like Ochai coming off the corner, he's already set. That's a rhythm shot.
Right.
That's why he's shooting so high off the corners. But if you look at Gradey, who's like taking some more difficult shots this year than he did last year, it's the type of threes he's taking that I'm noticing that's probably impacting the stats.
Sure, yeah.
So,
because we all see him warm up. Like, that guy can shoot.
Man. He can shoot.
Yeah, he can shoot. But as you mentioned, like, it's expanding on that. And I think also, like, part of the getting the green light is, like, you have a responsibility now for the whole team. Because realistically, only one guy on each possession can shoot. Yeah. So you're deciding on behalf of the whole group that this is the best shot we're going to get in this possession. So that doesn't mean that you shoot every single shot that you come across. I think what happened with Gradey to start the year was really, really fun. Like coming off the screens, 1-2 dribble pull-ups in the mid-range, going on to the basket. I think a lot of teams weren't prepared for him to be so aggressive. Yeah, and he really capitalized. Then teams were like, all right, we see what's going on. Yeah. We're going to start top blocking you. We're going to start guarding you like you're JJ Redick, you're Steph Curry. And all of a sudden he struggled a little bit with that. And then he was still trying to be aggressive, but I noticed he was starting to take bad shots that weren't necessarily the best shot for the whole entire team as a whole. That's a learning process, though. And I'm happy you got to do that this year. Yeah. Because if he takes some of the bad shots next year, I'll be more annoyed.
Well,
I'm not going to lie. It's true.
It's like part of like the individual growth and learning point as well. Like, like learning, like as you said, like you could only take one shot per position. So is that 3 that you're going to be coming off of like, I don't know, you cut up from like the corner and you had to take a couple dribbles or had to up fake and now you got to take a side. Because like the up fake sidestep like 3, that's also a tough shot.
Oh yeah.
Because like that's a whole different body movement when you're like trying to take it, whatever. Anyway, I'm not trying to get too nitty gritty, but it's just like, is that the best shot? And that's a question, that, Darko and him and whoever, like they can all determine. Exactly.
Yeah,
but the fact that the reality is that he's still a great shooter.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I think if they ever wanted to be like, no, Gradey, we just want you to catch and shoot, like his percentages be through the roof.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking that also like in the future, like, give him the green light now and like get him used to taking these uncomfortable shots. He'll eventually just get in rhythm with these crazy shots, and then he's going to be that much better of a shooter.
Yeah.
So I'm not even mad that he has the green light. I think it just be maybe quote like potentially more selective, but also like the best shooters could basically shoot anything. Like look at Caitlin Clark.
Wow, that's different.
Look at her. Look at Steph.
That's what we need on this team.
Yo.
He's shooting.
Let's make this the most relevant team in basketball.
I wish
Raptors add Caitlin Clark.
Like she can shoot
our careers are going off.
She can shoot from half. She can shoot off a screen. She can shoot like when she's cutting, like anything.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. That's a whole. Those are all different skill sets to have.
Yeah.
Just that lead up to a shot.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, are we done with Keith Fun Stats, or we have one?
No, I think that's good. I have one more, but you're gonna call it really sad, so I'm gonna leave that one out.
Wow.
What's the sad one? Now I want to know.
Is it about defense?
It's about defense. It's about
because
defense. I feel like we've talked about the defense.
We just did an episode on the Raptors getting better on defense. We'll let them slide on defense for now. It's fine. They don't really. Okay. They're not really doing it yet. But maybe one day we'll see some defense.
No sad note.
I appreciate this conversation so much with both of you.
Hey man,
what's up?
Great conversation so far with Savanna and Keeks. Wanted to let you know, man. You see, the Warriors made a trade over the weekend. Got Dennis Schroeder.
Well, it's my boy right there.
Got destroyed by the Mavericks though. At home.
It was a pretty close game.
14 and 11 right now. The Warriors. Their over under is 48.5 wins. Do you think the Warriors can get to 48? What do you think?
I think they're slowing down. I think there's clearly a desire to salvage this season, but they've been looking for that second option. I mean, at times, it feels like Draymond's their second option.
That's never a good sign.
That's not necessarily a good sign. Steph quietly is having like not a down year, but like he's not, not like an MVP level year.
He's aging a little bit.
I think, it's looking a little tough. I mean, the Warriors obviously started the season hot, but now they're really cooled off. So I'm probably still going to be over on this, but that's just because
surprised.
I'm very optimistic with Golden State and the way they play basketball, but this might just purely be a nostalgia pick for me.
Okay. Well, Warriors over 48.5 on Betway is a 1.86 odd right now. So make sure you hit the QR code below. Check out all your basketball odds on Betway.
Before we go, though, I do have to ask because I have noticed all the beat writers have come out with a column about the trade deadline coming up. I saw it in the Star. Saw it. Grange wrote it at Sportsnet. Saw it. Who else wrote about it? Korean or? Well, I'm sorry. Someone else also wrote about it. But basically, it was like, this is a little interesting that everybody wrote a trade deadline column in the roughly around the same time. So I wanted to get your quick thoughts. Are they going to be here or not after the deadline?
Oh, God.
Sav, I know you're in the locker room. Okay, this is strictly your basketball opinion. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else.
I think that some of them they probably watch, or their families watch this show.
Chris Boucher, I apologize in advance. All right, we've already done this whole conversation. We don't have to do this back and forth again.
No one's leaving.
No, come on.
No one's leaving.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 names, and you're going to tell me if they're going to be here after the trade deadline or not. Okay. First one, Chris Boucher.
I mean, he survived this long.
Yo, Chris just keeps going. Chris is like, I'm here.
He survived this long.
I'm here. You want to come to training camp in Montreal? I'm here. I will love that. Let's do it again. Let's do it every year in Montreal.
Don't be surprised if he survives another one.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Boucher's like, I'll see you at Barrett-UQAM, buddy.
DNP-CD in the last 3 games, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the DNP. Yeah, I mean...
He fell out of the rotation.
By the way, did you see what Darko said? Darko was like, we knew that Kelly was coming back. So a week before Kelly came back, he already went to Chris and was like, hey, man, we're going to take out the rotation. Kelly's going to take your spot. And I feel like I noticed that last week before Chris got his spot taken by Kelly, his production dived.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not saying you should surprise a guy. Be like, hey, man, you're not coming to work tomorrow. But I'm still, it's like, damn, there's got to be such an interesting, person management, human management sort of
that's the hard part of the job. I think is just these players are people.
Yeah.
And so it's we could talk about you're going to be traded. But at the same time, it's okay, but they're packing up their lives. They're moving everything they know to a whole different location. And some of these guys are so good in the locker room. They bring other benefits to the team that doesn't even show up on the court.
Boucher's the longest tenured Raptor.
He's a long tenure for a reason. for a reason.
Like he scored the most points off the bench in team history, like
crazy
through his career.
Yeah.
Wait, Chris Boucher has more bench points than anyone else in Raptors history? That's really impressive.
That's a
Shouts to
good
Chris.
fun fact.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shouts
thanks,
to Chris. Yeah. Wow, finally.
That's a fun one.
Finally we got fun.
I think they're all fun. I'm just saying.
So the answer is maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, we love maybes on this show. All
I
right.
think
Keeks,
once everyone's back and healthy, unfortunately, it only makes sense.
Yeah. I think my only thing is if a contender wants to grab Chris, like I think, first off, Chris has a ability to help a number of playoff teams.
I agree.
He brings length. He brings athleticism. He gives you versatility. You don't have to play him as a center. You should probably play him sort of more as a big wing, but he can sort of cover a lot of space for you. Obviously, he's coming off the bench, but that's okay. The thing is, which teams out there can really use that kind of skill? So like Milwaukee, for example, that team's old as hell. They can use some athleticism, some length. Like a team like that can use them. But of course, a lot of these teams don't necessarily have enough salaries coming back. I mean, realistically, if Chris moves on, I think we would all be pretty sad. We've all kind of really grown to love Chris.
He's a Canadian fan favorite.
Yeah.
He's a Canadian fan favorite. And Chris, this is nothing personal. It never is.
The hustle, the energy, we'd miss all of that for sure.
No, for sure.
Hey, don't talk about him like he's gone already, guys.
Oh,
this is crazy.
All right,
Chill.
Resign Chris Boucher. Extend him right now.
February.
Sorry, guys.
Someone we haven't seen, but maybe we'll see on the court for the Raptors shortly is Bruce Brown.
Okay.
Scotty putting those eyes emojis on Bruce Brown. Take that cowboy hat off, put a headband on. You know what I mean? Like get on the court. Do you think Bruce ends up here in Toronto? Is he still here in Toronto post trade deadline? Also, what's Bruce like as a person? Because you deal with him a lot.
Super cool.
Okay.
Super cool.
What's his vibe? What's the vibe?
Honestly,
does he
what
work?
you see is what you get, man.
Okay.
Super cool cowboy.
He has as many
Super cool
cowboy hats
cowboy.
as I have skirts, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, he's a great talker. He's not afraid to actually answer a question. He's very earnest and good character.
Okay.
And what really spoke to me also in this whole time he's been injured is the fact that he literally gifted his entire team cowboy boots. He's not hiding from who he is. I'm a cowboy. You're excited to take care of
By the way,
and now y'all all are gonna be too.
He's not the only cowboy in the NBA.
Who else is?
I was watching.
Is there another one?
Yeah, I'm a sicko.
Not as diehard.
I was watching Timberwolves versus Spurs on a Sunday night, and I'm like, who's that on the Spurs bench wearing a cowboy hat? It's Keldon Johnson. Big Body Johnson, also wearing a cowboy hat. So,
Texas.
But that's Texas, so it doesn't necessarily.
Count,
Hey, if you were in Toronto wearing a cowboy hat,
in Texas,
yeah. But is he here or not? Don't give me another maybe. Come on.
Maybe. It's hard to actually predict that one because he hasn't played this season.
Does he need to come on the court at least show that he's still healthy? Hey, I still got it, quote unquote.
I mean, he made it clear that he likes being here. And I think that does say something when you're, if I'm personally, if I'm looking at my team and I'm okay, he actually made it clear he wants to be here. And he's adding value to team culture. We haven't seen him on the floor yet, but we know what he's capable of. That's why you got him in the first place. That would be.
He's fully engaged.
You'd have to have a really good package. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. He seems fully engaged in the team and in what they're doing and whatever the future looks like for them, I guess. Every time I look down at a timeout, he's talking to someone.
Yes.
Talking to a player, talking to a young guy, giving them tips and advice. At least that's what I think he's doing. But
so we're keeping Bruce too? Bruce and Chris?
It depends on the return.
Keeping them all, man.
Wow.
Depends on the return.
Man.
I think
I'm going to ruin it for everybody.
Streets are saying you can't break up a 7-19 team. I can't believe it.
A lot of the teams that could use a Bruce, unfortunately.
A lot of teams could use Bruce.
A lot of teams could use Bruce. But a lot of teams of the winning teams that could use Bruce, unfortunately, don't really have the cap space or the.
That is true. He does make 22, I think. And especially nowadays with the new CBA, you got to be closer to match salaries, et cetera, et cetera. Some teams can't necessarily aggregate the salaries to bring them up. I think more than anything else with Bruce, it's just hard to see him getting minutes in Toronto not because of his ability. His ability is good, but my guys are healthy. You got Jacoby now. You got Gradey. You got Ochai. These are all young players you brought in the last year. So you want to give them a path to playing time. Especially because Ochai's kind of morphed into what Bruce already does.
Yeah, but my only thing that the Bruce angle, he adds a lot of value to the team and because he's contributed to championships before. He knows how to play his role very well. And I think in this young team, when you're trying to set a winning culture, you have to have champions around you to kind of help.
Okay.
Well, who moves out of the rotation when he's back then if he's playing?
I wouldn't be happy to see Jacoby lose minutes.
No.
I wouldn't be happy to see Ochai lose
and
minutes.
And Jacoby, I don't think Jacoby's going to lose minutes anytime soon.
He can only play 5.
But when Bruce comes back though, whose spot in the rotation is he taking, right? Like who's...
That's the question.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be a night-to-night decision too. But I think that this is what this team has been even like historically last year too. A lot of times the players are playing more or less based on like the matchups. So
I respect Bruce. He did come out and say he played through injury last year too, just because the team like literally only had 8 playable guys.
Yeah,
and it was like, all right,
respect, man. Respect.
He's like, you know what, man? I will suit up tonight.
Facts. Like,
Rap's gonna lose by 40.
What does that tell you about character?
No, he's got character. I respect that. You know what I mean? He's a winner. I appreciate that. But best available trade. I'm willing to do it. Kelly Olynyk, next one. Is he here?
He is retiring a Raptor.
You're retiring a Raptor. Come on now.
Can't break up a 7-19 team. Unbelievable.
Listen,
Unbelievable.
I think in terms of like a little bit of Canadian loyalty over here, like I think he wants to retire a Raptor. I don't know. Again, like similar. I guess he could probably help teams, but I don't know if the return. Like I don't see him bringing a first round pick back. I don't see him being aggregated into trade either.
That's a better question. Do you think any of these 3 players give you a first round pick back?
Bruce, maybe.
Okay. All right.
But again, depending on the situation, the trade.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Well, we know last year when Kelly was traded to Toronto, like there were other teams interested. Like,
yeah.
So I think there is a market for Kelly.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a market for all these guys.
No, these are all productive players.
Guys.
No disrespect to any of them. I know we're always like enthusiastic. Oh, we get another pick, and then we can pick another player, and they're young, and we can believe in them, and But like these guys are all like what you would hope some of their picks turn into.
Exactly.
100%.
You gotta give them that respect for sure.
Yeah.
But we're not trading Kelly.
No, I don't see it.
If there is good return, but I would enjoy a Canadian to retire a Raptor. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's RJ, man. RJ. We got RJ.
I don't know
we got AJ Lawson. We just add another Canadian.
I know. The Canadian count's getting high.
Yeah, CanCon is good, man. We've been around CRTC long.
I don't know
this team now.
Slowly. Of those, I guess there's 1, 2, 4 Canadians on the team?
Yep.
Of the 4, I only see 1 retiring a Raptor. And that's because he'd be retiring sooner rather than later.
Fair enough.
If that makes
sense.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can't even ask you about Jakob.
The odds are there.
Jakob's definitely not moving if you got moving these 3.
You only move Jakob Poeltl if the return is the same. You can't develop this roster.
Honestly, at this point, I want 2 firsts for Jak. He's played that well. Like
but
he deserves 2 firsts.
I want a good young center that could kind of fill that.
Okay.
Fill that hole or develop into a similar player.
A similar player. Why would you get a similar player when you have the player?
If you have to trade him and you want the picks,
why do you have to trade him?
I don't think you have to trade him. I don't think you have to trade him.
Toronto can't do him dirty twice. Come
even with 1, I would hate to watch this Raptors offense without Jakob Poeltl.
You can't do that to him. No,
y'all never broke up with a person twice. I mean, it happens.
No,
it happens. It's not great, but it happens.
Nah, I mean, he adds a lot of all these guys do in different ways. Like Jak though, like having the best season of his career right now. He's the anchor of this team, the one that's steadying the ship through all.
Fun fact.
Fun fact time.
93% at the free throw line in the last
4. 93%. Okay,
bro, how's that possible? With
that's
a
not
one-handed
even
free throw?
You can't even call him Shaq anymore because that's way better.
What are we calling him?
I don't know.
By the way, Jak took that 3. Oh my god, I was so. That's the next thing I want to see from Jak.
That's the next evolution of the game for him.
If the Raptors are tanking this season, let me see some Jakob Poeltl 3s. Let's develop
I encourage that
the
Jakob
Poeltl 3. We could start from the corners if you want, but he's a center. So he's probably going to be top of the floor.
Yeah, no.
Let me see a 3.
Listen, I actually would love to see a developed 3-point shot with him. Like there are centers that have done it.
Yeah.
Sure, JV just did it here in Toronto.
Yeah. It's totally possible. You can do it late in your career too. But
the thing is, JB at least had a mid-range jumper, and then they were like, "All right, take a couple steps back, and then it's like, all right, you shoot the 3." But
the Lopez brothers.
Sure, there you go. Yeah. Brook was like super, he was like a crazy good post player.
Yep.
And then he became what he is now, which is a totally different.
That's how you actually add longevity as a center in this league. That's how I see it. Like, you add longevity to your career if you can shoot a 3.
Yo, if Jakob adds a 3 to his game, that's 3 first-round picks, guys.
Bruh.
Would you extend Jakob? Because this is actually something Grange actually wrote about in his column. He's like, well, if you're going to keep Jakob post the trade deadline, and that means you want to keep him around for even longer, then you have the possibility to extend him if you want to. Would you? Is that something you want to discuss, or maybe this is probably more for like a off-season kind of question?
I think it's an off-season.
It's an off-season question, but like you mean.
My rule here though is like in general with Jak is if you're going to trade him, you have to be able to replace him right away.
I agree. I don't
Not
want
the
to
same production, but at least the same
role,
skill level, future development goals. And that's good luck. Exactly.
Yeah. Trading Yak is...
If you're going to trade into another team or onto a winning team, obviously, for picks, then you have to get something similar back. There's no way I will be able to watch this team without Jakob Poeltl. They'll score like 60 points a game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe I'm overrating a little bit, but like...
I know what you're saying though. Like the structure of the team will completely fall apart. Yeah. He's like the structure of the team. Him and Scotty do the most to like.
He's like their stabilizing force.
Yeah, he's like the drum beat of the team. Like he's literally like, if this was a band, he's the drummer.
Like
he's
when they said he wasn't
going
to play, and then it was going to be a starting 5 with no traditional point guard and no Jakob Poeltl on against the Heat on Thursday, I almost
like Vision 6'9" again.
Like, sorry, what's going on now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, Memphis, if you want to call, give us Zach Edey, we have a conversation. But otherwise, you know what I mean? Like they're probably not going to do that, though. That's the thing, So,
yeah, are they going to give up?
Edey? Yeah, no.
Yeah, so. Before we get back to the show, we just want to let you know that this podcast is proudly brought to you by Tangerine. Tangerine is the official bank of Hello and Welcome, the Toronto Raptors, WNBA, and the NBA.
Yeah, man. And fans are at the core of everything that Tangerine does. And they're not just fans of basketball. They're fans of fans, right? And Will, I know you know what it's like to be a fan. You're a fan who's got a nickname for every starter. You're a fan who's 5 inches from the screen when the game is on. Okay. You're a fan who'll show up to Jurassic Park in a blizzard to cheer on your team.
They're calling me Fan Ho Park.
No, that's what Tangerine is all about. Fans of fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're hearing this, there's no doubting your commitment. And fans like you are at the heart of what makes this game special. That's why for the Raptors' 30th anniversary, Tangerine is shining a light on you, the fans, and celebrating the passion that you bring to the stands, because this is how we fan. To learn more about Tangerine's basketball partnerships, head to tangerine.ca/basketball. Now let's get back to the show. Well, I guess we can't break up a 7-19 team, but it was fun to check in on the vibes around the team.
The part of the reason is because they're also like so injured, and there's so much question marks in the air. You can't fully analyze this team.
I do have one quick question for you guys though. I'm
let's
looking
at
the
I love
sheet that
extending
I have
the
here.
show. Yeah.
This is their top 10 rotation right now. Okay.
Let's do it.
Brady, Mobo, RJ, Walter, Jacoby, Yak, Jamal, Shad, Ochai, Kelly, Davion, and Jameson battle. Okay. 3 guys. 3 rotation players on the injury report still. Scotty, Quick, Bruce.
Yeah.
Which of these, if the Raptors play a 10-man rotation, which of these 3 guys are done or out of the rotation?
That's a good question. All right, you can be Darko. I'll be Jama.
Okay. No. You want
like,
switch roles.
I'm Darko.
I like Jama.
Hi guys. I've just had 6 espressos.
I like Darko too, but
I've just had 6 espressos.
I just like to nod.
I personally coached every player on this team now through a drill.
Okay.
We have Scotty coming back, who we're taking out of the lineup. Jameson, sorry buddy, you're out.
He just needs a little bit more marination. That's all.
You know what the thing is with Jameson is he's played well to be in the rotation this season, but the Raptors have him on that 2-way contract, which is kind of like when you have a free trial on on Netflix or on Apple TV.
You're like, played 1 G League game so far.
He played above his weight, and that's just awesome. But
I'm keeping Jameson long term, no doubt.
Yeah,
short term, I'm finessing the games played so that I'm not burning days on
your core. You gotta see your core.
You can't convert that contract until after the deadline. Because you have room. It's 50 games, right? I think he still has 30 to play.
Yeah.
Why convert it early?
Okay, so we take Jameson's minutes, but that's only 10 minutes. So we probably have to cut down on Mobo's minutes. He's not starting no more. Scotty's obviously going back to the starting.
Oh, well, that
one's relatively easy.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a given.
IQ coming back. Jamal?
Yeah.
Out of there,
yeah.
Jamal.
Yeah. A lot of G League time, I think.
Which is honestly,
it's good for him. He needs playing time to play. It doesn't help.
He has 13 assists against whoever the 905 played with.
Oh, y'all not watching Maine Red Claws?
Sorry, I wasn't watching the Maine Red Claws.
You're not out here like me. A man like me watching Maine Red Claws versus Raptors 905.
I was a box score 905 watcher.
Weren't with me shooting in the gym, man.
You didn't see AJ Lawson put up 30 plus in his Raptors 905
I read the stat line. I saw the stat line. I wrote it in my notes.
And then IQ. So IQ, I mean, Yeah, he's eating into all these guys' minutes, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably just going to see like Jamal's get impacted, James get impacted, Mobo probably get a little impacted, but I think they really like from what they're seeing from him, so we'll see how much that hits. Maybe even Jacoby a little bit impacted.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, by the way, this impact is not a bad thing. Like, they're basically going back to what their role should have been when they started the season with all the guys coming back.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, like, it's almost like, they got a bit of a longer leash because of all the injuries. And so now let's go back to some structure. So it's not a bad thing. This is actually normal.
It's normal. I agree.
It's not normal for all these rookies to play so much. So let's go back to like
64% of the minutes.
The progression of things again.
Yeah.
So last one is Bruce. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Hey, Bruce.
Like, is it
Golden State?
Gets a little bit less. I think he gets.
Is it Boston?
Bro.
Is it New York?
If he plays 10 games before the deadline, I think
let me pull out a map. Let me pull out a map of the USA. You know, like. Is it Los Angeles?
Somewhere where you can wear cowboy hats and be.
Yeah, you like Texas?
This is the last.
The street teams over there.
On the
San Antonio.
All right.
San Antonio's coming up, man. San Antonio's coming up. Two cowboy hats on that bench. Keldon Johnson and Bruce Brown. You know, Dallas.
Cowboy hat swap.
Dallas could use you.
That'd be entertaining.
Not a jersey.
Houston
swap,
could use you. You know,
swap. Is that a thing?
Hat swap.
Yo, that should actually be a thing. A hat swap.
Hat swap.
I like that.
Yeah, that's how life spreads.
That's expensive though, because those hats are not cheap.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. This is fun. Thanks for bringing fun stats, Keeks. Savannah, thanks for bringing the festive spirit, you know, and bring us your hoop knowledge, of course, both of you.
And that.
Of course, okay, not just trying to say, you know, but yeah, so honestly, it actually has been a fun season, you know, and like I'm happy, especially because you guys we're all around the team, but you're really around the team and stuff like that, and like to hear that they're got their head straight.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than Vibe Check a year ago. Last December, Vibe Check versus now.
Yeah.
Even last April.
Yeah, last April people were like 1, 2, 3 Cancun, you know. But like,
it wasn't even 1, 2. It was like, keep in mind, like just like how impacted our team, team was. Like, IQ was going through some personal stuff. Like, RJ,
yeah, exactly.
A lot of personal stuff there. Like, it's like so. Yeah, of course the vibes are better because like there's a lot less off court stuff in these like our main guys' lives, and like that, to my knowledge, that is. You never really know, but like. Yeah. Anyways, but outside of that, like also like these guys are familiar with each other. They had a whole off season together. Like the vibes are immaculate. They have everything.
They like each other, at least outside looking in.
They have everything in perspective. No, like even like being in the locker room, I go at the end of the games and they're like talking things through. Like I've heard like Davion Mitchell having conversations with Jacoby about like getting hit on screens, and he's like, dude, that's why your shoulder. Like he's like, that's why you got to get around them like this. Like they're talking things through, even through the losses or the wins. Or they're just laughing, like whatever, talking about whatever. So like. Yeah. It's good. It's really good.
I like that because last year at this time, we had OG was on his way out. He was clearly, he was just like, hey, listen.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a good breakup, really.
Pascal was like, man, you put me in trade rumors for 2 years. I'm out of here.
2 years removed now from being all of us being psychologists apparently and looking at body language.
But people were looking at body language. Dennis Schroeder was like, actually that's a whole separate story we can't get into here. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Keeks and Sav for joining us on the program. And this has been the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway.